Oh, snap. It's time to yap. And I'm your host, Big C, and welcome to another episode of Just Yapping. Today's episode is sponsored by W Focus Energy Drink. W Focus Energy Drink. Get 10% off any purchases when you use the code XT0419 on any W purchases. Be better. Drink W. On today's episode, we'll be covering communication and the different types of communication. We will also cover obstacles in the communication. And then I'll close up with how to better communicate with one another, right? I'll begin. Communication. What is communication? We're communicating right now. I'm talking to you. Hopefully, I'll get a response in return on my pages, whether positive or negative. Hopefully, no negative, all positive, right? That's what we're doing here. I'm spreading positivity, right? So that's communication. You saying something either verbally or non-verbally, or maybe a physical, a handshake, right? Or something that's structured already, maybe at home or at your workplace. That's a form of communication. Writing. Back in the day, we didn't have anything to communicate except for, well, we did, but you know what I mean? Not like it is now as far as technology with your cell phone. Everybody got their head down, not paying attention. And they're so focused on that everything else that's around you is not important anymore, I guess. But it's the technology now, right? But back then it was a sky pager. I get a phone call, it'll ring, right? Or buzz. You look at that number, you call it back, and you're like, hello, mom, I'm coming home, right? Those were the different types of communication. And that is the type of communication that has changed dramatically, right? If you ever hear the saying like, oh, I'll communicate, yeah, just watch the smoke signals. That was something from way back when, like the Native American Indian days and stuff. They'd be like, oh, look, smoke. There's people over there, right? That was communication, period, right? So the different types, let's get back to the different types of communication. Verbal, what I'm doing right now, for those of you that can hear this podcast, it's verbal, right? You hear my voice, and then I can't hear your voice. So hopefully you can get back to me on comments, whether positive or negative. Again, we go from there, right? So hopefully when you do communicate, whether at home or whether at your work front or in any form of communication, in police and the fire, right? All that other stuff is communication. On the television, on the radio, it's passing information, right? You throwing information, you taking that information and you executing whatever you heard. I mean, to all extent, right? You don't want to do what people say, or no, it won't work out. You understand what I'm saying, okay? We also have the nonverbal communication. Nonverbal can be not even talking, just using your eyes or gestures, or maybe, doing this, that goes to show you the person right then and there is not interested. And God forbid I did that in front of my mom a few times. I catch a quick one, I duck it, I'll be like that Mike Tyson, whatever, bobbing and weaving, right? So that, as far as nonverbal, right? Or, there could be someone who's disabled. Unfortunately, it can't speak. So you have to try to find a way to communicate, either by typing or writing or just pointing. Some people just point and be like, I want that. Or, okay. So that's one form of communication, is the nonverbal, and how to actually go back and say, hey, this person is nonverbal, let's communicate this way so they understand better. Sign language, right? The physical part of communication, a handshake, oh, what's up, how's your day, a hug, right? A kiss on the cheek to those that you know, and you can't just do that to anybody because you'll get in trouble, right? A quick, hey, what's going on the arm, again, to people that you know, right? And it's sitting next to that person, or if you're a couple, holding hands, right? That's a form of communication, right? You also have stuff in your work front, your systematic type of structure, right? And the lack of that sometimes on the work front, meaning like you'll get information from your boss or whomever, and they'll tell you, oh, just do what you need to do to get the job done. That's really not passing positive information there, right? That's passing information that is like real negative, and you're going to be like, wait, if you give me, the wrong information, I might do the wrong job. And I'm pretty sure you folks out there, you beautiful people out there, know where I'm coming from, because I've been through it, right? So you have to learn how to adapt in that environment, because it's work. It's where you actually make your bread and butter, right? Um, so you do the best you can. And there are certain people that will give you information and absorb that information and then give you great feedback, right? They'll be like, hey, and they'll give you instructions and say, hey, do it this way or do it that way, or right. That's the way it should be. But to some people it won't. Even at the home front, it's the same structure, right? It's that structure. It's how I want you to do this, and this is the way it should be, and that's it, right? And how about the emotional portion of communication? Maybe some really or don't want to communicate, right? Maybe they're just shy, or maybe they're just afraid of what they might get as an answer, right? So you really have to respect that, right? You have to respect that type. So I know a lot of you out there understand communication, because we do it all the time. And that's the list as far as that I know. I know there's probably so many more different types of communication that I didn't cover, but those are the basics, right? That we can go for and go forth with it, right? How about the obstacles in communication, right? And some people are like, what are you talking about? I got to jump over a wall to talk to somebody? No, the obstacles in communication. How about in this day and age, right? We have a lot of people from different ethnicities, right? And the here, of course, in America, we speak English, right? So you say something in English, you need a response. But sometimes you're not English. Yeah, I know speaking English. I'm not dissing my people. I'm just saying in general, because that's how it is nowadays. Or hey, I don't understand you. Italian, I don't understand. You speak to me Italian. It all doesn't matter. It's a cultural melting pot, and everybody speaks different languages, and they hardly understand. They know just a little bit, right? So um, you have to find a way to communicate. You have to now in your cell phone, which is amazing to me. I'm saying now because I'm old. I'm just learning this stuff now. You go to Google Translate and you say what you want, and there you go. Bing, and any language, which is incredible, which is great because it helps the movement smooth, right? It makes that transition when you communicate a little smoother, okay? I think that the obstacles you can also come about is like the again, what if the obstacle is a person, right? A person that you don't really care, not that you don't really like, or they don't like you, right? You go there and you see that person, you're like, man, this person, I don't want to be around this person. It makes you feel uncomfortable. And you're not gonna, some people just will either get up, walk away, or not talk at all if they open their mouth and say, hey, how are you? Well, you can't say hi to me. Probably not. People don't want to talk to you or talk to the people, right? And I'm not only saying one-on-one. There could be a group of people, and then within that group of people, there's one person you just you don't, you don't feel, right? And that happens to all. It happens to me. It happens to all types of people. Can we get communication and absorb it and selective hearing? Of course, a lot of men do that. I do that. My wife gets irate when I do that. I don't mean to do it. It's just like I pick and choose what you're telling me and how I'm going to absorb it. And that's why I have a honey-do list that's so long, because I'm like, yeah, I'll get to it. Leave it be. Um, and it's there's so many other different obstacles out there. Um, Again, the cultural type. There's so many different cultural ethnicities out there that you sometimes you try your best. You really, really try your best. Um, and we can continue to find how to better communicate with those obstacles. Um, and sometimes it works, sometimes it really doesn't work, right? Um, and when I get to my closing, I'm still trying to figure out different obstacles because there are so many, and I don't want to leave people. Oh, you forgot about this obstacle. And again, it could be again, the language barrier is probably the biggest, right? And if a person, again, and I mentioned it earlier, the people who really can't talk, and if you're at a place where somebody, how are you going to help this person if you can't communicate? What do you do when the person can't talk, right? Like, what do you do? How do you get across to the person? Either written, write it down and have them look at it and whatever, right? Some form of communication. Like, what about fire and police and all those, or like even on the operating table? What if the communication is sent? What if the communication is received? And somewhere in there, because we all like to assume sometimes, or just say, oh, whatever, I'll do what I need to do because that's how I do it. That's a lack of communication. Some people want it direct, and some people be like, yeah, I heard what you said. I'll get it done. Don't worry about it. And that can be detrimental. That can be between life and death. You know what I'm saying? Because if the wrong information is given, even to the military, the wrong location and the wrong longitude and latitude, all that stuff, that can be really bad. So is it sometimes? Yeah, you hear it on the news all the time. You hear it or you read it in the paper, and yeah, it can definitely hurt, right? And that's not a good thing. Anyway, sorry, I lost a little track there, but we all know. Well, some of you out there, unfortunately, wrong communication was sent, and bad things happen. I'm really sad for you guys. But again, I'm trying to make this about positive, right? And this is going to be, how can we better communicate? That's going to be my closing. How can we better communicate? I'll tell you one thing. If somebody needs to communicate with you and you're really not sure, listen. Active listening is a kicker. Like, some people, like, you can tell when somebody's not interested, whether physical, whether just like your eyes rolling or whatever. They don't want to hear you, and your body gesture, right? Active listening, I think, is an important way to communicate, right? And to make communication better. How about smiling? How about smiling? Smiling is a form of communication. Hey, what's up? It's smile. A smile is considered warm. A smile is considered, excuse me, a smile is considered inviting, right? You smile, hey, what's up? That person seems cool. Oh, what's up? Well, and that, to me, and I say it all the time, to me, first impressions are everything. First impressions, the handshake, you can feel the energy, right? You can feel the energy when you're around good people. And I'm not saying you folks out there are not good people. You probably had a bad day, right? You probably had a bad day. I don't want to deal with this. No, right? I don't want to deal with it today. But you can tell, and then maybe the next time you see that person or group of people, it might be totally different. Hey, look, I'm really sorry. The last time I saw you, I didn't, hey, it's cool, whatever. That right there is different. But to me, first impressions are everything. First impressions mean a lot to me, because if I feel your energy and within the handshake or the hug, hey, what's going on, right? You feel it. If you don't feel it, then I wouldn't get to it. How about having more empathy toward people, right? Or how the way other people are, if you listen to it on the news, or however, at work, at school, right? Wherever, out in the stores when you're shopping, have a little more empathy. I think that the communication aspect with empathy, people don't want to get involved anymore, right? Does that make sense? People don't want to get involved anymore. And that's communication that's shut down. Like we're supposed to be here to help one another and all that, and some people just don't want to bother, and that's really sad. That's how we look at one another. Like I don't get into politics, and I say it all the time, but you can see it, right? And it kind of is like it's very hurtful sometimes to some people that need your help, and you're like, yeah, I'm helping you. That's not cool. Uh, you can also a way that we can better communicate. Why not nonverbal? Right? We said it before: a handshake, a hug, right? Couples holding each other's hands, right? That's what people like. You're it's that vibe, right? You're holding hands. Oh, they're a couple. Cute. How cute is that? Oh my god. That's a form of communication. Now, I probably covered a good portion of it. Hopefully, we can um, communicate better in this world because I think we need it. I think we need it amongst your communities. I think we need better communication within our children. I think we need better communication within our work front, right? And, maybe, hey, if you're not sure, and some people, I'm going to backtrack for a second. Some people are afraid to say anything, right? They're afraid because they don't know the outcome, or they already know the people that work for them. They're like, no, it's not going to happen. Even if I ask, it's not going to happen. But you never know. Maybe they're not approachable, but then maybe you can find another way. Remember, you can always get through. You can always get over an obstacle by again going around, right? Going through it or going under. There's always a way. So don't ever think there's a way of finding to break that obstacle, right, of communication. I just think that we need to have more empathy, right? Communicate better, love one another, because we're not here for a long time, right? We're only here for what's the saying? We're not here for a long time. We're here for a short time or whatever. I don't know the proper saying. You guys out there, you're gonna laugh at me, but whatever. Um, so that is my time. I am Big C. You're gonna find me on TikTok. You're gonna find me on YouTube. And if you do, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'm Big T. Peace.